Hello, bonjour, bon dia, hola, wherever you're welcome to our very first episode of the Relish Lifestyle podcast. I'm Charlie and I'm here with my mother and co-host, Tracy.
Oh, well, thanks, Charlie. Hi, everyone.
We're really delighted to have you join us on one of our very often and frequent weekly chats.
Yeah, I mean, Charlie and I basically love nothing more than normally it's at the end of a day.
Yeah.
Possibly a cup of tea and then a glass of wine. And we just chat, don't we? About everything, really. Mainly there's a lot of food and a lot of
food.
Mainly food, kind of, life stuff. But yeah.
And we seem to cover quite a lot of topics, don't we? Whether it's food, cooking, life, exploring somewhere new, reading, we do it all, don't we, really?
Yeah, and we just sort of hop in. And I think it's kind of like probably what so many people do anyway, but we just seem to cover a lot and we thought we'd like to share it, and we really kind of wanted to open up the conversation, didn't we, Charlie?
Yeah, looking forward to it. So, yeah, welcome.
Okay, so one of the first things today is, Charlie, I mean, I've got a small garden here and I can't believe it. This year I've grown a marrow plant.
Yeah.
And it's just extraordinary. And I looked out there today and I've got 5 marrows growing. I mean, really?
So what are you going to do with all said marrows?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm just amazed at the moment just how quickly, I don't know anyone else is growing them out there, but they literally seem to double overnight. I sort of water them and I get up in the morning and they've doubled in size. It's extraordinary. I also think, I grew them this year because I think they're a bit of an underrated vegetable. And, I don't know about anyone else out there, but I find them really difficult to buy.
I don't think they're that often in supermarkets, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You don't often see a marrow.
No, or kind of a very short season. And yet things like marrows and courgettes can grow. They can these have been growing here for about at least the last, we're sort of late August now as we record this, and they've been growing here for about last 6 weeks or more.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think, as long as the weather holds out, they'll probably continue. But I just love marrow, I mean, I don't know
what's your favourite way of cooking it?
My favourite way, there's 2 actually. One is to literally cut them into rings and, you de-seed them and then make some sort of stuffing. And that could be stuffing with rice or whatever. It could be sausage meat stuffing. I've actually got one I'm cooking today, actually. And that's chicken mince with leeks and onions and some garlic. And I've just used a really nice bit of stock that I had left over. And then I just cut them into rings and sort of take the centre out, and then I'll just cook the rings off a little bit, and then I just put the cooked mixture in, and then you could cover it with anything. So that's a really nice way. Another one of my real favourites actually is to dice it. Is to do quite big, when I say dice it, actually that's probably wrong, quite big chunks, and you cook it with a sort of mixture of between butter and oil, and that's olive oil. And you just saute it off, and it's just lovely. And lots of good sprinkling of sea salt and some pepper. And then, actually, I've got some chives growing as well, haven't I, Charlie? And some fresh chives. And that's all it is. It's delicious.
Lovely.
What about you?
What am I cooking?
Yeah, no, no. How would you cook a marrow? Have you got any?
I do like a stuffed marrow. I think it's good. But I think what's quite interesting with marrow is it's surprisingly versatile. It can be roasted, it can be fried, it can be sautéed, but you just don't, like we've said, you just don't get it, really. Even on menus when we go out, marrow is not something
that's true,
you see. Courgette, yes, but not marrow.
I know. And yet in some ways, I think I prefer marrow. I think I love those Trompeccino courgettes, but I do think marrow's got much more flavour.
Oh, no, definitely.
But you're right, it just doesn't appear.
It needs a rebirth almost.
Yeah,
brand.
Maybe that's something we should be doing.
Yeah.
Relish.
Marrows.
We'll do
if your plant keeps growing, you might have to.
Yeah, I think we're going to do that. I think we're going to look into some new. And anyway, if anyone's got any marrow recipes, let us have them.
Yeah, let us know.
I think we should do that for Relish, definitely.
Yeah, 100%.
Campaign on those. Okay, so
in terms of marrows, talking about like how useful they are.
Yeah. I think you could even make chutney. I've got a feeling I've got a ridiculously old book, like 1950s on preserves. And it talks about a marrow chutney. I have never made it because in my head, I just think, how do you make a chutney out of it? How are you going to taste that? Yeah.
You might need a lot of flavouring.
Yeah, it's just going to cook right down to nothing, isn't it?
Can you pickle a marrow?
Yeah, you could pickle it.
Because I'm just thinking that would be quite nice. Because you think if you pickle like cucumber and things, whether you could add some sort of Asian spices, maybe.
Yeah, I reckon you could.
Yeah,
I think that's a good wheeze, actually. Actually, just talking about preserving, I guess we're going into that time now. I saw a load of blackberries the other day. Yeah,
I know. So I've actually witnessed people already blackberry picking around. So we probably need to get in there.
Yeah, maybe this weekend.
This time last year we went up to up Goodwood, didn't we?
Oh yeah, we did. Yeah,
and we took our bags and we did some blackberry picking, and I made a rather nice blackberry jam.
I have to say, Charlie, do you remember? I absolutely adore harvesting. I love fruit picking. Yeah. I love picking vegetables. And do you remember when you were little? I used to drag you around like fruit farms and things, but you used to love it because you could just run wild. You could go up and down and pick fruit.
I think it's also important. Like one of the other things is teaching children about food and where it comes from and what it feels like and all that kind of stuff. So if you're picking it yourself, you learn, don't you?
Well, I kind of think you learn, I guess, exactly where it's come from, how it's grown.
Yeah.
Even if you've got sticky little fingers and you've got more raspberries or blackberries or strawberries or something in your mouth, but actually...
Yeah, and I think it's just, again, the versatility that it's on our doorstep in hedgerows.
Yeah.
I went up to, where was I? Wiltshire somewhere, and picking sloes. There was a whole, like, hedgerows either side, just absolutely chock full of them. And I remember bringing sort of 2.5 kilos back with me in the car. And then making sloe gin with it. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Charlie, you make more preserves and jams and things that I do now, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, probably the one that's gone down the best recently is the Seville marmalade.
Oh, and we have to say, we don't actually harvest those oranges.
But obviously at that time of year, I think their sort of season, I think, is end of December to sort of early March.
Yeah.
It's quite short.
The other one that you've been doing that's really yummy, and you obviously got this from me, was the mango chutney.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, I can't bear to buy mango chutney.
No.
If you homemade it, it's just...
Again, if you buy the mangoes when they're in season.
Yeah.
It's not an expensive thing to make particularly.
No, definitely at certain times of the year you can find them. They're cheap. You can buy them in nets sometimes.
Yeah.
And it is amazing, actually, with some preserves, and particularly like mango chutney, you don't need that much because you are putting other things with them. So it's not like, unless you want to make 100 jars, but actually if you want to make half a dozen jars.
But also I think with things like making preserves, I think people are... it is easy, obviously, just to grab a jar of something from a supermarket or wherever you are. But actually, if it's a rainy day and, I don't know, there's something good on the radio or even the television, if you're that way inclined, whatever, it is just chopping and stirring.
Yeah.
There's not actually what I would call a huge amount of technique. I mean, the only technique really is obviously reaching the jam boiling point, sugar.
Yeah.
But you're not... It's not difficult. It's not fast. You're not having to do all last minute.
No.
And actually, sorry, just quickly, the jars are, you can collect those. Don't put them in the recycling. Put them in your dishwasher. And then you've just got your own stash of jars ready to put your preserves in.
Yeah, and I think, I love the fun of it because... You then have got all these, I remember having all these mismatched jars. It didn't really matter because sometimes you just want a small jar. Sometimes you have a huge jar.
Well, I think, I've got various. I've got small little mustard jars that have got, jams and mango chutney. And then I've got a sort of what I would call £2 kilo jar full of marmalade.
I always used to think those little jars were really handy because for however you do it, you can never absolutely get it accurate how many jars it's going to fill, and there's invariably a tiny bit that you've either got to put in a dish or you've got a small jar.
This is sort of what happened to me. So I had a certain amount of jars ready for the marmalade. Obviously pop them in the oven for 10 minutes to sterilize them. And then as I got them out, I started filling them up with the marmalade and realized I was going to probably need one very large jar right at the end, which is hence why I've now got. But it's perfect. You just put it on the breakfast table and you've got,
And you can always decant it, can't you?
Yeah, exactly.
But I think what we just go back a bit. I think what I've always found is you sort of feel like, oh, it's the end of the summer, but you go into the autumn and actually I used to find that picking of the fruit and the veg.
The colours.
And then maybe, making the jams, whatever. But it's very, very therapeutic. It's kind of calming. And I think it's that lovely step into taking you into autumn, winter, isn't it?
Yeah. And I just think the autumn is a brilliant season, not just for the harvest side of things, but I just think the colours you see in nature are brilliant.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, talking of which, we've got our summer holiday.
We have. End of summer, I suppose.
End of summer.
I don't know.
Are we all booked now,
We're all
Charlie?
booked. So I guess the background is we're off to the Peloponnese predominantly in Greece. And we're sort of doing a foodie road trip from Thessaloniki in the north right down to the fingers of the Peloponnese, stopping at places like Nafplio and Kalamata, which is obviously famous for Kalamata olives. Really looking forward to it. I think the last thing left is the car parking at Gatwick. But other than that, we are Airbnb'd and booking.com'd up, I think.
And we are really excited about it, not only because it's a great holiday. We're going away for 15 days. So it's a good trip. We're calling it our Greek Odyssey, aren't we, Charlie?
Yeah.
And it's going to be a really good, great, relishy trip.
Yes.
So we're going to be doing some podcasts from there, but there's going to be lots of pictures. We're going to be doing lots of cooking and...
Well, this is a good...
Eating out.
This is a good juncture, I think, just to obviously mention that Relish Lifestyle is on Instagram and TikTok. They are our most used social media platforms. So anything that we eat or discover or we go exploring, or like when I went to Catalonia, I suddenly saw a pomegranate tree and I'd never seen a pomegranate tree like up close. So there will be all sorts going on, hopefully on the social media side of things. And then if we can, we're going to do some podcasts from Greece.
Yeah.
Which would be fun. So let's just hope for good weather. That's the main thing. But I've already started doing the list. You know what I'm like, TripAdvisor up.
Yeah, Charlie's definitely the
researcher
analyst or the researcher. Yeah. So I'm very excited about some of the places we are likely to eat and places we're going to stay and go and see.
And I think one of the things, hopefully, from this podcast and from Relish Lifestyle generally, is we want it to be authentic. It's our authentic selves right now. We are sat round your dining table with a few bits of paper and we're just having our chat. This has not been overly scripted or anything like that. So,
which you can probably tell.
Yeah. But that's what we wanted to be. We wanted it to be natural and authentic. And obviously part of going to, a different country, even though it's a holiday, we want to experience, typical Greek food, cuisine, try typical Greek recipes, that kind of thing. So hopefully that's what we're going to try and do.
Yeah, well, you've been to Greece more than me, really.
Yeah.
With Skiros, we kind of were there together, but you've kind of done a few other trips, haven't you?
Yeah. So me and my best friend, we went to Athens for 2 or 3 days, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to Nafplio, but we stayed just outside. It's an amazing country, but I think mainland Greece, we've talked about this, is sort of overlooked because everyone flies to Catalonia or Crete, but actually mainland Greece, there's a lot going on and you get the same seas, the same sort of warmth. So I think it'll be really exciting to see more of that. But there are I do remember one funny story. We were in a place called Tolo, which is about 15, 20 minutes from Nafplio. So you're just on the edge of the Peloponnese, just going into it really. It's about an hour and a half, 2 hours from Athens. Anyway, we hired a boat and it was very Greek, if I can say that. It was like a little sort of concrete jetty. The cafe we were sat at, literally the tables and chairs were in the water on the sand. It was very, Mamma Mia vibes. And then this man was just had a little clipboard and was just saying, I've got these boats, blah, blah, blah. So we hopped in one of these boats. I mean, I've done a bit of motorboating, but I wouldn't say I was an expert. Anyway, we sort of went around these islands just off the coast. And then, we were sort of just striding off. I was feeling confident, jumped off the boat and swam to this little cove. And then my best friend said, what's that? And I said, it's just a rock. He went, well, the rock's moving. Anyway, it turned out it was this sort of giant black octopus.
How fantastic.
It scuttled off.
I know.
Probably seeing me in my swimming trunks scared it. But it was, that was, brilliant.
I know.
To see that.
But that's the thing, isn't it? When you go, it's like, we take these things for granted, but, you see these things in fishmongers or whatever, but...
Well, they dry them in Greece. They hang them on strings.
Oh, right.
And dry certain fish and octopus.
Yeah.
So,
and I was just thinking about your story about the pomegranate. When we're not used to seeing that kind of thing, you actually see it in its own environment growing. It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
So we're kind of booked. We're ready to go. So we're going to be doing some cooking out there. And Charlie, what do you reckon? What are your kind of go-to recipes, do you think?
Well,
some of your favourite Greek food.
For me, the clef de co is up there. I've done it a few times, well, quite a few times here, and I've had it there as well.
Now, that's a slow-cooked lamb, isn't it?
Yeah, correct. From researching the recipe, there's not any recipe, I guess, nothing's original. So you can use a leg of lamb, you can use a shoulder of lamb, and various cooks in this country, I won't name, some use the shoulder, some use the leg. I've used a leg, and it seems to work really well. It's just a brilliant, again, one of those recipes that is just absolutely packed to flavour. But once you've done the chopping and the, marinating, it just sits in the oven for 4 to 5 hours. So it's not like an intensive, oh God, I've got to, sous vide this and dice this and blah, blah. It's just what I would call really wholesome, good, full of flavour cooking.
And it's actually quite simple, isn't it, in terms of ingredients?
Yeah,
isn't it? Yeah.
Very. But it's all kind of, what I quite like is it's sort of, most of what you need is all in that dish. You've got the lovely sort of peppers, tomatoes. Obviously, you can put potatoes in there, which is great because it soaks up all the sort of fattiness of the lamb as well. And then it's just your sort of typical, lots of oregano and all that kind of stuff goes in, garlic. But on the whole, you can sort of make it your own to a certain extent.
Yeah. Well, I guess we've always done.
Yeah.
I've always believed that a recipe is just a guideline, and definitely, you can just taste. And if you haven't got certain ingredients, you either leave them out or you use something instead. I think it's just getting brave about that. But as long as you taste, I think there's many recipes that I've just gone, I haven't got that, I'll use that instead.
Yeah, and it's about also knowing what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah.
So you're not going to suddenly go somewhere and bung some, I know a lot of people don't like dill because it's that aniseedy flavour, but you're not going to suddenly think, I haven't got something else, I'll put dill in it. You're not going to like that.
Yeah.
Though interestingly enough, dill is obviously it's heavily used in Greek food.
Yeah. I was amazed because I've been doing in the last few years a lot more Indian cookery and just exploring that, and I was just amazed how much that dill is used actually, and how so often these things are used to counteract if you've got something as you just said, either something that's quite spicy or quite not greasy, but maybe it has got quite a lot of oil in it and that kind of thing.
Well, I think that's why it works really well with oily fish. Obviously gravlax being, but with mackerel and stuff, it's lovely dill. But I've done it with chicken. Yeah. Obviously, it can go with things like lamb as well. Yeah. It's a good. I think we've talked about this recently. It's about the layering of the flavours sometimes. So you might not think, that's got loads of dill in it, but actually, if you took it out, there would be something missing.
Yeah.
So it's, I think it's going to be exciting. I'm going to try lots of different things. I'd love to obviously do a clef de co in Greece. It might be 35 degrees, so it might be quite hot to have a clef de co, but it might be something we eat out. But again, that's another example. We might, where we're staying in Greece, we're not going to typical large resorts or cities. So we are, what we find in the local shops and supermarkets is what we're going to have. We're not going to have
exactly,
all that stock around us. So, I mean, the other thing we've got to think about is obviously when we're packing, what sort of books we might want to take when we're not cooking. So have you thought about what you might read?
Well, I wondered whether I try and get some sort of historical, maybe Greek historical novel-y type thing, or, historical novel based in Greece or something. I don't want anything too heavy.
No.
I've just finished reading, I don't know how many, I mean, I'm sure thousands of people have read Matt Haig's The Midnight Library, which was just absolutely brilliant. I've just finished that. So, so I'm going to have to do a bit of research, or if anyone's got any suggestions, then
Greek-based.
Yeah. Or, just a good holiday reading. But what about you? Or you're going to be writing?
I don't know. I might.
Your second book.
I might write some of my book. Depends sort of what inspo I get. But, I think for me, one thing I did do, talking about books based in the country, is I did read Captain Corelli's Mandolin when I was on Kefalonia. And it is surprisingly moving because we're actually there.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I've got, what have I got at the moment? I'm reading, you've just given me the biography about Ian Fleming.
Yeah, Nicholas Shakespeare.
Yeah. So we'll see if I can get that in the suitcase. It's
quite a chunky book.
Yeah. And then we've just got into our Marmalade, haven't we, as well?
Oh, yes. Who else out there is doing Marmalade?
I mean, it's
extraordinary. I just saw this thing. I just read a review and it was about Marmalade, and I just got one. And then Charlie and I sat and we did a couple. We couldn't work it out. We just couldn't get our heads around it. But anyway, by sort of the fifth one, we got into it. And then it is slightly addictive. I can see how people...
Well, you
can't just do one, can you?
It's not, for me, it's like the combo of Cluedo and a Sudoku in sort of one thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's very clever. But we will be I might try and take some recipe books as well.
Oh, yeah, well, we could take some photographs. That's what I've done before.
Yeah.
Take photographs of the recipes, and then you don't have to take the whole book.
No, exactly. But I've got one that's like a traditional Greek book, and it's broken down by region. So I thought that might be quite interesting what the Peloponnese region kicks out.
Cool.
So that'll be good. And what are you cooking tonight? Importantly.
Oh, yeah.
You're doing your marrow, aren't you?
Yeah. So actually, as they're coming thick and fast, I'm actually... I'm doing a bit of stuffed marrow tonight, so just the rings. But I've kind of got into getting some chicken mince, or mincing, raw chicken, then cooking that. And as I say, I'm sort of doing that with some leeks and onions. And I've also been growing a few chilies, and I got this tip where you don't always have to chop the chili. If you just want a bit of spice, just take the chili if they're hot, but just put them in whole and they soften down and you get like the chili flavour.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. And then, I've added a bit of, like garlic and stuff like that. And I've had a nice stock. So I'm just going to then stuff the rings, pop it in the oven, and put some herbs on it, keeping really simple.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Good.
That's me tonight. What about you?
Well, I am, because the weather's been a bit changeable, I'm actually doing a spaghetti bolognese tonight, I think.
Ooh, the old spag bowl.
Yeah. But I'm trying this, so I found this in the supermarket, a mixed pack. So it's got minced beef and pork in it.
Oh, right. Okay.
So I want to give it a whirl, see what it's like. Because normally I like to add, and I know, again, spaghetti bolognese isn't particularly Italian at all, as in a beef ragu is, but obviously what I would call a British spaghetti bolognese is quite different.
Yeah.
But I like to add a bit of bacon to give you that slightly sort of...
salty.
Yeah, porky taste.
Yeah.
So I want to see if this sort of combo mince pack works.
Oh,
I'm sure it will.
Yeah.
But again, like we've just talked about the Greek food, I think it's very similar. You do chopping at the beginning, bit of stirring, brown off some meat, and then some liquid goes in, and then you leave it.
I think the art of a really, really good ragu is just to let it, once you've added everything, you just let it cook. For literally a couple of hours.
Yeah, I agree. Which I have actually done in the oven before.
Oh, yes.
You can do an oven one.
That's a good wheeze.
If you've got kind of a Le Creuset type saucepan with a lid, you can do it like that.
Yeah, it's like some risottos you can do in the oven. And they're really cool. Yeah. to make this. It's just nice, isn't it? You stick it in the oven, particularly in the winter.
So yeah. So do you think we've covered a lot in our first podcast, I think. Grief, food.
And this is kind of what we do, isn't it? And I'm just we're looking at the time now, and I normally at this stage say to Charlie, would you like a glass of wine?
6:00.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have a little glass of wine, and we don't stop talking, of course. But this is how our podcasts are going to go. We will talk about all sorts of things. There'll be some themes, and we might even have the odd guest on as well. But what we'd love you to do is we would love you to feedback to us, love you to follow us, and, leave your comments. Or are there things you'd like to talk about, recipes that you'd like to share with us? Oh my God. I mean, there's so much. We just really want to build our conversation, because we think conversations around a glass of wine or a cup of tea or around a meal is just the best.
Definitely.
Isn't it?
No, I agree.
Best time.
I think it is. And I think it's just one of those things where you can cover off a lot of topics, and a lot of the time they're incredibly interesting. Like we said, it's varied, isn't it? We don't have a set thing. We have a glass of wine, start talking about something particular, but we go off from Marrows to what book we might read to, where we might go on holiday next. It's not, or it might be something we've seen in a magazine or a shop we've been to. So really, Relish Lifestyle is about all those things. And, very grateful for you for listening to our first podcast. As I said, on our social medias at Relish Lifestyle on Instagram and TikTok now. We're getting used to that. And you'll see some videos actually from my most recent trip, which was in France, which I think maybe might be quite good to talk about that in the next one.
Yeah.
Maybe we could do France generally.
Yeah, so if anyone's got any questions or anything, just please DM us. We would just love to expand our conversations. It's just not Charlie and I talking, but there's more people here.
Out there.
Yeah, we can read out the questions and stuff like that. Anyway, that's it. We're going to try and keep these to about half an hour, and I'm going to go and I'll get wine. And as it's still summer, what wine are you fancying tonight?
Summer verbs. I've been into sort of Picpoul de Penay's or Viognier. I couldn't say the word. I haven't had anything to drink yet. Maybe that's the problem. But anyway, until next time, keep relishing life.